Alright, we ranting about buttons now. Because, my god. So we get introduced to these three forms of the alien, which is Snuggles, Buttons, and the toy robot. And Buttons is the one that he tries to destroy by burning in a fire. So the alien that was inside of Buttons takes over the reanimated corpse of a woman that we saw die. Which is fun. That's fun. That's fun. And she is immediately overcome by all of the sensations of the human body, including just like the feeling of her tongue in her mouth. You know, the guides are trying to guide the humans to experience death, but Pax is her guide to experience life, because he gets to explain everything. He's like, hey, have you heard of music? Except she's an alien, so she hasn't heard of music. So he gets to show her music for the first time. Because Buttons has never experienced anything, she also has this, like, kind of uncomfortable naivete about her. When you think about the fact that this is a naivete that has been projected onto this character by its male authors, it's a little bit odd, especially her relationship with Pax, which in a lot of ways seems very paternal, because he's the one that's like kind of her guide through the world and is explaining things to her like a father would. So then it's very uncomfortable when in the next page the physical organs in her body are decomposing. And so then she asks him to get rid of the organs inside of her body, the literal things that make life. And it's awful. It's awful. It's rendered like a sex scene. Like, that's the way it's drawn. It's drawn to mimic sex. You know, he's shown in shadows. He's shown as this, like, shadowy figure standing above her. And it's all lit in red. He's digging around her innards. She's also told at one point by one of the guides, you sold eternity for a physical form and it's already slipping away. You know that you're never coming back. This is a very interesting depiction that to me aligns a lot more with purity culture and the idea of women being seen as like tainted or impure after having sex. You know, that moment being selling eternal life for sins of the flesh. It rings very true to me with, you sold eternity for a physical form, it's already slipping away. Enjoy it while it lasts. Now again, what we need to think about here is the fact that this is not a woman per se. This is a being who has just commandeered the body of a woman and is now gutting it of everything that makes life. She even says that she's not really alive. It's more like she's puppeteering this form from another place. She says things like air and blood aren't really necessary. So when they go outside of the bunker, reality is described as malleable. He says, this tree isn't a real tree, it's like the perfect idea of a tree. He constantly comments on her physical appearance. He constantly says, you look good here. You know, which again, feels uncomfy to me because she's a reanimated corpse. And he knows that. And so when he says that she looks different out there, it's very telling because she's rendered not to be a woman, but again to be the perfect idea of a woman who doesn't need air or blood or anything like that, free of the actual biological realities of womanhood, and yet can be sexualized and also have everything explained to her like a child. There's also kind of romantic undertones with her relationship with Pax. There's a line where she says, waking up next to someone can be nice. Which again, a little bit uncomfy because she's still discovering who she is in the way that we would consider children or teenagers or, you know, very young adults who are very much discovering themselves, and we would think, oh, well, that's kind of uncomfortable to look at them in a romantic or sexual way. But because she's inhabiting the body of an adult, it's, I guess, seen as fine, which It is the objectification of womanhood that can be puppeteered, as well as infantilized, while simultaneously being sexualized. And then in the fifth one, Buttons comes in and pretends to be Aphrodite, and then tries to seduce the human man to keep him from
unaliving
himself. And that's uncomfy. These guides apparently know enough to plant themselves within these realities and shape themselves to whatever reality is being created, and yet Buttons doesn't know what music is, and doesn't know what hamburgers are, and yet all of these other guides know enough about humanity that they can seamlessly blend into these people's fantasies. Buttons doesn't know what organs are, but she does know the social etiquette of seduction. So the Buttons of it all... the Buttons of it all is very unfortunate.